Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. I'm Venus Green and I'm so grateful to have you here with me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I love to share space with you. If you are a brand new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. Truly appreciate your support. This is a space where we explore astrology with a little bit of depth, a little bit of practical magic, and definitely soul. All right, also a big thank you to everyone who has been liking and commenting and subscribing. Definitely if you are sharing the videos, we truly do appreciate you helping other people find this content. If you have not already, we would appreciate your support by hitting the like button. Also, subscribe with notifications so that you don't miss any of our videos. Just before we get into the astrology, I want to let you know that we have our Jupiter in Cancer promotion up on the website under the services section. So we are sold out for the year on natal chart readings. We do have space left for follow-ups though, and since we haven't had enough follow-ups, we are going to offer promotions just like we did last year for the outer planet transits. So if you are interested in your own personal Jupiter in Cancer, that's going to talk about what houses are being activated for you, what planets are being aspected, what opportunities for growth you have, then you can find that under the services section. Hope to see you there. All right, this is going to be your astrology forecast for part 2 of June 2025. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I recommend checking that out. It's going to cover everything up through the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th. Now, in that video, we talked about how June opened up with some intense squares. There was emotional tension, some karmic release at play, especially in those mutable signs. So the second half of the month here, it's different, but it's not really any less powerful. So we're moving into cardinal territory. This means action, new cycles, and shifts in leadership and direction. All right, so first thing up here we want to talk about, June 13th, we've got Sun square the North Node. This is going to bring a quieter, but still it's a deeply significant shift here. The Sun in Gemini squares the North Node in Pisces. So this can feel like our conscious identity and our soul's direction are not quite in sync here. Now you may find yourself questioning, kind of what's your role, what's your path, how much of your life has been really shaped by something else. Maybe it's mental control or, pushing down an inner knowing or something like that. This isn't about having all the answers, and that's okay. It's about being honest with what it is that no longer resonates with you. And again, that's always the first step in making change, right? Just feeling like, what am I not aligned with anymore? What is the thing that's causing me pain and frustration, right? If something feels off, do not force it. You might be called toward a new possibility that doesn't really make any kind of logical sense yet, right? But that stirs something in your soul, right? So let that intuition, not intellect, right? Let that intuition have a seat at the table. All right, on the 15th, then we have Mars and Leo is going to be squaring up to Uranus and Taurus. So this aspect is volatile, it's bold, it's definitely impatient. So think fireworks here, right? Plot twist. You might feel triggered by control or ego clashes in some way. There's going to be some of us feeling really pressured to make a fast decision or possibly escape something that feels really stifling. There's also going to be really physically just tension in our body, right? Because it's like your body knows that there's a change coming. It doesn't know what it is yet. So if you are building toward some sort of a breakthrough, this is going to be the shove that happens and gets you there. However, if you are clinging to comfort, right, it might come as a jolt to you. So that's what you need to remember, right? We're not digging our heels in. My advice, just slow down, okay, before you snap, because that's what we don't want. Channel that rebel energy that you have going on into some kind of innovation. Don't use it impulsively. Now on June 17th, Mars is going to leave fiery Leo, move into that meticulous sign of Virgo. The energy shift there goes from this dramatic, right, of Leo to the very detailed, right? And it's like, it's on the practical level, right? Everything Virgo is practical. So Mars in Virgo really wants to improve, it wants to refine, it wants to heal, it wants to organize. So this is the perfect time for you to start a new health regimen, to tackle that to-do list, to declutter your workspace, to fine-tune a process or a plan you've got going on, right? This is high performance earth energy. It's not flashy, it's not efficient, or it's not flashy, but it's definitely efficient, right? It's getting shit done. So if you're overwhelmed, start small. Tiny steps are going to compound, right, into some kind of powerful momentum. Keep that in mind. June 18th, Jupiter square Neptune. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Neptune blurs the boundaries, right? Very simple. So this square, it's like trying to read a map through a fogged up windshield. So you might feel emotionally swept up in a big dream. You may be tempted to overcommit or overgive based on circumstances. Some of us are going to feel really confused about someone's motives, or possibly our own motives. So this isn't a bad time. It's just an ideal time for visioning, not for really locking anything in. So be generous, be open, but keep one foot on the ground always. What feels like really awesome magic today might need a little bit of adjustment tomorrow. So remember that. On June 20th, we've got the summer solstice, right? This is a sacred reset. Always, that's what they are. The sun moves into Cancer on the 20th, marks the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. So sacred turning point. It's the longest day of the year. Now, astrologically, the sun in Cancer really calls us to reconnect with our hearts, our families, and the places where we feel really the most nourished. This is a beautiful moment to reflect on what you've built so far this year. It's a really good time to set some intentions from the heart, and it's also a really wonderful time to recommit to emotional honesty and intuitive self-care, right? Let this be the checkpoint for you to do those things. What needs to soften now and what needs to strengthen now. That's kind of the balance that we're trying to find. Now, from the 22nd to the 24th, we've got the Sun square Saturn and Neptune. Also, Sun making a conjunction with Jupiter. So, from the 22nd to the 23rd, we've got this Sun in Cancer squaring Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So, this can feel like emotional fog meets internal pressure of some kind. You may sense that there are delays, discouragement. Some of you might be experiencing some spiritual confusion happening. Then on the 24th, the sun is going to meet with Jupiter in Cancer, and suddenly there's like clarity again. Hope returns, and there's this emotional cloud that will begin to part. So the energetic arc is kind of that. You know, we've got a couple of days there of this emotional tension, possibly tied to boundaries or it's disappointment on some level. And then on the 24th, that wave of emotional optimism is going to move in. Growth is coming back, and maybe even some kind of divine timing for some of us. Now, ride that wave really gently because the universe is clearing away illusions so that it can make space for something real. All right, and then let's just quickly talk about Mercury for the remainder of the month. Now, Mercury is our planet of communication and perception. So it's on the move, and that means always our mindset is as well. So from now through the 25th, Mercury is going to travel through Cancer, and it's continuing to really tune our thoughts into emotion, memory, and trying to, really understand things on an intuitive level. This is a really good time for heart-to-hearts, for reflective writing, and probably anchoring into something that feels really true. Then on the 26th, Mercury is going to enter Leo, and that tone shifts pretty fast, right? It's Leo, so expect bigger voices, bolder ideas. Maybe even a little bit more drama, right, in terms of how people express themselves, for sure. There's courage here. There's also the risk of sort of speaking too fast or too loud. So be mindful of that. Now, on the 30th, Mercury is going to enter its pre-retrograde shadow, 4 degrees of Leo. This means storylines, conversations, decisions that you're navigating now around this June 30th period are going to be revisited, revised, rerouted when Mercury goes retrograde in mid-July. So pay attention to what's just starting to form, okay, around the last day of the month, a couple of days, because it's probably not going to be the final word on those things. And then as we close out June, remember, this isn't really a month that moves in straight lines. It's very layered. It's emotional. There's it's subtle in some places, and it's wildly predictable in others. Trust me, I know. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you my story soon. Now, we're entering this new chapter of the year, and this is one that calls us to act, but also to feel really deeply, to trust that our gut is right, even when the roadmap looks a little bit foggy. Now, with the sun in Cancer and Jupiter lighting up the skies, we're all being asked to lead with our heart, right? Not to forget your head, but lead with your heart. So questions to carry forward here. Where is it that I need to soften? Where is my story outdated and I need to update it, right? Like refresh it. Like you're totally different now than you were 5 years ago. I bet probably even a year or two ago. And then of course, get a grip on what does emotional success really mean and look like for you. What is the definition of that? Because that's what we're all trying to get in touch with. June's final days are going to stir the soul. Yes, absolutely. But they're also going to offer us really tangible chances to set some new patterns in motion. So make space for both intuition and intention. We are going to move into the rising sign forecast now. If this forecast resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe, or drop us a comment below and let us know what's happening for you this month. Unpredictable, maybe. Your support really helps the channel grow, and it definitely helps others find our content. So we definitely appreciate your support. Aries and Aries rising. Welcome, Aries. I hope you are doing well. This stretch of June here is going to bring some intensity to your emotional foundation, and then clears a way for some more peace, clarity, and forward movement for you. There's some mid-month tension. So from June 13th to the 15th could stir up some inner conflict about maybe your role in the family or possibly your home life. That Sun square the North Node kind of is like a soul nudge, right? Are you living according to your deeper purpose, right? Are you defaulting to some sort of old expectations? And is that what you want to do? And then by the 15th here, Mars in your 5th house is going to square Uranus in your 2nd. So that's going to suggest there's a sudden clash between personal joy and financial values. So you might feel really driven to kind of break out or break free from something that's really limiting your creativity in some way, especially if that thing is tied to your income or your stability. So around this time, I would watch for maybe a family member's like unexpected request that kind of throws you off, or maybe a challenge, unexpected challenge from a family member. There could be a sudden expense tied to either children, pets, or passion projects that bubbles up. There could also be a sense of urgency to just do something bold. Maybe not, that's not fully thought through yet. On the 17th, then, Mars is going to move into Virgo, your 6th house. So it's turning that heat toward daily routines, health, and your work-life balance. Now, this is a really powerful time for you to clean up your schedule, for you to start a wellness habit, maybe to refine your role at work or home, whichever is appropriate. Keep things simple and structured here. This transit is really great for making some small changes that will support long-term stability. Now, from the 18th to the 24th, we got a little bit of fog and friction happening. So Jupiter will be squaring Neptune on June 18th. And then Sun is going to square Saturn Neptune on the 22nd, 23rd. So this can create some confusion, especially about where you're headed. May also feel like you're doing the work, but you're not seeing any progress for some reason. What I want to say is trust that emotional buildup does have a purpose. So this is going to clear by the 24th when the sun meets up with Jupiter in your 4th house. That's a moment of emotional breakthrough, or even something, physical breaking through, like or happening. Maybe it's a move that's taking place. Maybe there's some sort of housing decision made. Maybe there's a family turning point taking place. Now then, if we look back over Mercury for the rest of the month, Mercury is activating for you 4th and 5th houses. And so that shift from Cancer to Leo is going to mean your inner world and your creative voice are sort of coming into the focus here. So from the 12th to the 25th, Mercury is in Cancer, moving through that 4th house. Really great for emotional check-ins, for having some family discussions, for even reflecting on your own personal history. This might look like, maybe sorting through some of your memories, possibly revisiting some of those childhood stories. Could also be having some important conversations at home. Then on the 26th, Mercury is going to move into Leo, lighting up your 5th house here. This is where your ideas might get louder and brighter and bolder, especially around topics like romance, children, and creative projects. Just note that Mercury enters its retrograde shadow on the 30th. So if you are launching something new, speaking up publicly, dealing with some sort of child schedule or announcement of some sort, the full story is probably likely to unfold over time here. So keep that in mind. All right, for you, Aries, I say honor your gut feelings even if they clash with logic this month. This period isn't really about pushing through. It's about making aligned and wise moves that really support both your inner and your outer structures. Good luck to you, Aries. For Taurus and Taurus rising, welcome Taurus. I hope you are doing well. We have for you this month some family matters, some sparks in the creative department, probably some emotional clarity moving through as well. So there's a recalibration happening here. You're getting clear on what home really means, how much mental bandwidth you actually give away to others, and what you're ready to create next. We've got Mercury in Cancer through the 26th. This is activating your 3rd house, lighting up the realm of daily routines, short trips. It's also about writing, technology, siblings, that mental chatter happening in your head. Now, conversations are going to pick up. You may be pulled toward your neighborhood for something. You might be asked to do some sort of writing or speaking, or there may be an opportunity that comes up for you to do that. Simply could just be overwhelmed by errands in terms of back-to-back communication. By the 30th, Mercury is moving into its pre-retrograde shadow. So any thoughts about home, real estate, or family conversation are going to start circling, right? So bookmark them. Just want to call that out for you right up front. June 15th, Mars is going to square Uranus. So this could be a bumpy ride, especially if there's some sort of technology glitch, maybe transportation, probably some miscommunication, right? It's going to set your day off, right? The key here is don't rush any sort of decisions out of frustration. Tension could really lead to needing upgrades, especially around how it is that you handle pressure or maybe you defend your time. Now on June 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo. That's your 5th house. So you get a little burst of motivation, right? To finish a project, to pitch that bold idea, to plan a vacation. Maybe some of you are thinking about starting to date again. This is fiery but focused. Mars in Virgo wants results. So if you are a parent, your child might need some more attention around this time. If you are very creative, your work might find its rhythm again. On the 18th, Jupiter is going to square Neptune, so that hits your 3rd and 11th. Be aware of overpromising or possibly taking someone at their word. hate to say that. A community vision might really sound like it's an incredible idea, but it probably lacks follow through. This is going to be a good time for some big ideas. Stay grounded, right? Neptune's involved. Sun square Saturn and Neptune from the 22nd to the 23rd. So if around this time you're feeling drained, scattered, unsure, confused about maybe someone's intentions, trust that the fog is going to clear soon, right? Something may feel like it's out of sync with your social circle for sure. And that's okay. What you want to do is probably pull back while you try to sort through those feelings. There could be maybe a friend that disappoints you. Could also be a friend that surprises you. So on the 24th here, Sun is going to conjunct Jupiter in the 3rd house. Now, this is like the light bulb moment here. So a solution may very well arrive for something that you have been like mentally looping over, right? Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a sibling, maybe there's a message that brings some really great joy, right? Or maybe some closure. If you happen to be launching some sort of new communication-based product or offering, this is prime time for that. Now, Mercury is going to move into Leo on the 26th. So taking your thoughts toward the home front. Expect discussions around topics of housing, family responsibilities, where you really want to feel rooted in your life. Now, this is a time not to rush because this is the very beginning of a longer story, right? Watch June 30th. Now, Mercury is going to move into its pre-retrograde shadow, and this happens in your fourth house. So this starts a review cycle that's tied to family, emotional security, and physical living spaces. You might rethink a move. You might be repairing a relationship. You might redefine home in some way. So you're really, the rest of this month, you're crafting a clearer rhythm for your daily life, and you're trying to guard your mental bandwidth best you can. Don't rush any big decisions, especially around communication or travel with that Mars-Uranus. Focus your energy on creative flow if you can in any passion projects that you might have going on. That can be a variety of things there, but Mars in Virgo is activating your 5th house with some potential there. So I would use that energy in that way. And then definitely pay attention to conversations that are happening at home or with your family around that time of the 26th to the 30th, right? Mercury is shifting gears here. Something is surfacing that's going to unfold more fully as we move into July. So for you, Taurus, the North Star this month is... remember that if it's draining your mind, it does not deserve your peace, okay? Good luck to you, Taurus. Now we have Gemini and Gemini rising. Welcome. I hope you are doing well. We are talking about money, mindset, and probably some shifting in your values this month. So June's second half here stirs up your 2nd house of income, resources, and self-worth. But not in a straight line, of course, right? So Mercury, your chart ruler, is moving through Cancer, and it's entering its retrograde shadow on the 30th, so near the end of the month. And it isn't about money. It's about how you value yourself, what you are willing to receive, and whether your current lifestyle really supports that deeper emotional, but also the financial needs of yours. So you might find yourself reflecting a little bit on your budget or your boundaries, maybe even your belief in what it is that you deserve. On the 15th, we've got Mars square Uranus, so that's between your 4th and 12th houses. Very likely something in your private world is going to be unexpectedly stirred up between your home, family, and or emotional security. So you might lash out around this time. You may feel like you want to retreat and hide around this time. You might also feel like the walls are closing in on you. The tension from this transit wants your attention on your environment in order to figure out what is too much and what is not enough. All right, around the 18th here, Jupiter in your 2nd house is going to square Neptune in your 11th. So a big dream involving money, friendship, or a future goal might feel really emotionally sweeping around this time, but there's something unclear. So you could be tempted to overspend or overpromise based on hope rather than actual facts. So if you're launching something or making a financial move, pause and ask yourself, am I really grounded while I'm doing this? All right. Now the new moon in Cancer is on the 25th. So that's going to offer this fresh start around money, security, and self-trust. This is going to be the moment where you can set some intentions around how you earn, spend, or give. Mars in Virgo now is energizing your 4th house. So your emotional foundation and your home life also play a really big role here, right? Are your living arrangements draining you, or are they supporting you? Mercury is going to move into retrograde shadow on June 30th. So also your 2nd house. Now, conversations about pay, about side income, about stability possibly are going to start to bubble up now. You're not going to want to resolve those until later in July, right? So if there's an opportunity or an idea that reappears from earlier in the year, this time, take a closer look at that. You might be renegotiating the terms or maybe revising your price or your spending habits in some ways. All right, dates to watch for. 13th, we have Sun square North Node, so that could bring some kind of internal tension between your goals and your soul path, especially if we're balancing money with meaning here. On the 15th, Mars is square Uranus. Don't let your frustration implode at home, right? Make the space to process your emotions. The 18th, Jupiter square Neptune. So there's emotional, financial fog. Avoid making any sort of major purchases or any sort of commitments. You could read the fine print. I'd still not do it. June 22nd to the 23rd, emotional pressure or doubt. Watch your confidence and your cash flow here. The 24th, the Sun-Jupiter conjunction moves together in your 2nd house. So here you have some potential green light around moving forward with your income or your self-worth. 25th, we have the new moon in Cancer. So you can set some intentions for probably more aligned to earnings, but also for inner security. And then lastly, the 30th, Mercury is going to move into retrograde, pre-retrograde shadow. So start tracking the financial conversations that are happening, contracts that you're reviewing. Those things are going to come back to visit you in July. So rest of this month, you're checking in with your values and your resources, emotionally and financially. Avoid overspending. Avoid blindly trusting others, especially around June 18th. If it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Prioritize grounding your routines also, especially in the areas of work and family. So Mercury and Mars are really stirring up all the practical matters there. And then lastly, pay attention to the shifts in your income, probably your self-worth conversations as well. Mercury going into that retrograde shadow in your 2nd house is going to start, the review of that financial review of your values. Gemini, your North Star this month is going to be the foundation that you build, will support that next bold move that you're making. So trust that. Good luck to you. Next up, we have Cancer and Cancer rising. Welcome, Cancer. I hope you are doing well. You are the main character now. I hope you feel it, own it, and dance with it. All right. You are stepping into this personal chapter that's happening, right? You got a lot of stuff going on in the 1st house, but there's going to be plot twists. There's going to be some confidence checks. There's also going to be some emotional collaborations happening. So first off, shift in identity and energy here because you're on the spotlight now. Sun and Jupiter in Cancer. Right? Not looking for attention here. Definitely you want to take a look at how you see yourself. The Sun and Jupiter in your sign amplifies your confidence, amplifies your image, your energy levels. So you're going to feel more compelled to advocate for yourself. You're going to love setting some personal goals, and you're finally probably going to take that initiative on something that felt like you just had to hold off on it all year, right? It's inner glow. And it's meant to be shared, so share it with all of us. Okay, on June 13th, we have the Sun square the North Node. So here you could find yourself torn between your personal desires and your professional direction. Give some time for yourself to think about what your long-term goals are and make sure that those things feel aligned. What are your needs? And what are your desires? Balance those two things out. We can't always have, a full cup in one or the other area. So if you stop looking for validation or chasing approval, your authenticity will move in and something will click for you. On June 15th, we're going to have Mars square Uranus. So here there could be a team, maybe it's a group of friends, it could be a future plan. There's going to be a trigger of frustration here, especially if your finances and the shared values of that team or group are involved. So this looks like sudden tension within a group or sort of setting the expectation to break away from a group. What's most important is that this is sort of volatile energy, and so stay flexible and don't sell yourself short, for sure. On June 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo. So your communication is going to become more sharp and strategic, right? Virgo is exact. You'll have the motivation here to clean up your inbox. You're probably going to want to start writing something, maybe keeping a better journal or a log of your daily routines. Finally, you're going to be addressing some sort of a problem, right? There's likely been a long avoidance of, but I would say don't overthink the everyday details, right? Trust in your voice and lean into that. June 18th, we have Jupiter square Neptune. So Neptune is always a moment of fog or confusion. Also, great creativity and illusion there. But if you are seeing something, related to your future, maybe you are working on some sort of project that you really wish could happen, definitely, right, lean into the creativity there. If someone tries to sell you that dream or a different dream that feels too good to be true, it very likely is. So wait a few days here before you do any sort of signing on a dotted line. June 20th, we have the solstice, which is a reset. So this is that energetic reset, new year. Set some intentions on this day around who it is that you're becoming. Journaling, therapy, some solo ritual could really kind of hit that emotional spot and help you apply that reset button today. Then on June 22nd through the 24th, we have Sun making a square to both Saturn and Neptune, and also Jupiter, a conjunction with Jupiter. So there's this wave of emotional heaviness that arrives, right, on the 22nd. It's probably for you tied to having some sort of spiritual doubts, having some sort of confidence concern. Maybe there's a pressure with trying to be everything to everybody. Clarity moves through around the 24th, and you're probably going to feel much stronger, wiser, and more probably seen than you have all year. So it's a real chance to release those expectations and really embrace yourself, as we all are a work in progress, right? June 30th, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow. So for you, backing up important files, confirming appointments, rechecking any travel plans that you've made, any sort of technology purchases or plans that you have for this time period. Communication themes that set in around this time are going to echo back to you, right? During that Mercury retrograde, which is going to happen next month in July. So siblings, neighbors, those things are going to be coming up. It's third house. All right, you are leading the energy now, Cancers. So if you didn't watch the Jupiter in Cancer video that came out earlier, I highly recommend you go back and do that. Jupiter moving through your first house is not a small transit. You also have the Sun through your first house for the remainder of the month. So make sure that you are using that to your advantage. June is going to give you the permission to expand, It's going to want you to show up fully, and it's also going to want you to revise the story that you tell about who you are. Do your best to stay grounded in your truth, right? Even when the spotlight feels like it's a little bit too bright, don't shy away from it. Best of luck to you, Cancer. All right, next up we have Leo and Leo rising. Welcome, Leo. I hope you are doing well. Now, this phase of the rest of the month for you is more internal. The stars are really pulling you inward, and they want you to reflect, recharge, release anything that you have outgrown. You are preparing for a major personal cycle that's happening later this summer, but before the world is allowed to see that, right? Your soul has to feel it and get involved. Now, around the 12th of the month, the energy is quieter, it's more reflective. Jupiter and the Sun are moving through your 12th house, so this is the realm of dreams and solitude and spiritual restoration. You are probably going to feel called to slow down, to take space, to reflect on your patterns, right? If you feel like you've been carrying things for a really long time, let's take those out and have a look at them. This is going to be the time to clean house spiritually, emotionally, subconsciously. You can use therapy, it could be journaling, do a creative retreat. You're looking for bringing some breakthroughs forward. On June 13th, and the Sun is going to square the North Node. So for you, that's 11th and 8th houses. You probably going to feel like you are torn between wanting to build something with others in terms of your community, getting involved with the shared vision, hopes. But there's deeper work that really needs to happen for you behind the scenes. That's both emotionally and financially with that 8th house pulled in there. So let go of any sort of pressure to perform or meet others' expectations, right? Allow the hidden truths to surface for you. And then don't worry about figuring it all out now. That's not necessary. Allow those things to bubble up. June 15th, Mars is going to square Uranus. This is volatile tension. And for you, it's around career and leadership roles. Here, you're probably going to feel like you're being pushed to prove yourself in some way. Or you might feel like you just want to rebel against these expectations that are being placed on you. Maybe entirely altogether, right? Be cautious because any sort of outburst or impulsive decisions are not going to probably go well, right? The breakthrough is going to come from you changing your approach, not from you burning down the bridges. All right, on the 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo, second house for you. So focus is going to shift to money, self-worth, relationships, your relationship to security. You're going to want to take some action here on dealing with your budget, trying to possibly increase your rates. Maybe you want to make some improvements to how it is that you value your own time and energy. So it's a really good time for some kind of practical financial planning, right? Don't try to be a perfectionist. The 18th, Jupiter is going to square Neptune. So here you're going to want to be mindful of wishful thinking, right? This is sort of a faith testing moment where something might look really good on paper, especially if it's related to travel or publishing, spiritual growth. The details are definitely fuzzy. You know that because Neptune's involved. So delay any kind of big commitments. Let the clarity move through first because around this time it's a little bit slippery. And then on the 20th, we have the solstice reset. So this is your soul check-in, right? On the outside, it's probably going to feel like there's not really much happening, but on the inside for you, there's a lot. It's profound, right? It's moving. You are definitely ready to release, and the dreams that you're starting to form beneath the surface are exciting. From the 22nd to the 24th, Sun's going to square with Neptune and Saturn, and then we'll also pair up with Jupiter. You're going to feel really emotionally weighed down and probably unclear about what's happening around the 22nd, especially if it's related to commitments, endings, stress, invisible stress. By the 24th, though, the Sun and Jupiter are going to meet in your 12th house. So it's going to offer you some kind of spiritual clarity or some kind of sense of hope that we'll be moving through. So it's the light at the end of the tunnel. So hold on for that. Then on June 30th, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow. For you, it's 11th and 12th houses. So it's old friendships, group dynamics. It's your long-term goals. Those are going to surface up to have some reflection. Pay attention to miscommunications that might happen, to emotional loops that start to happen. Those things are going to start to echo throughout that Mercury retrograde. They're going to follow through that path all through July there. Okay, so for you, it's preparation time, right? That's mostly what we're focused on. We're not pushing, we're not forcing. Let rest be your ritual because that will be your friend. Refill your cup before you step into that next spotlight. That's what the 12th house is about. What you're working through behind these closed doors now is really shaping who the world is going to meet next. Best of luck to you. All right, next up we have Virgo and Virgo rising. Welcome, Virgo. I hope you are doing well. You are taking the reins here, right? This is going to be your time to lead. Clarity is going to have to come before you can get kind of control of what's happening here. So the second half of June is going to bring attention to your long-term goals, to your group dynamics, and to how it is that you're showing up as a leader. With Mars entering your sign here, that you're kind of stepping into a more assertive and energized role, right? This is the kind of leadership role that needs some grounding, especially with that mental fog that's going to, be circulating through the air for the rest of this month. All right, so let's take a look at Sun and Jupiter in your 11th. So it's goals, friends, networks, and the future. That's what's lit up for you here. There could be a major growth that comes through group affiliations. It could be some online ventures that you're involved in. Maybe you are just expanding your vision, but people are going to be looking for your guidance. So you are stepping into a more visible sort of community role. And if you we take a look at the Sun and Jupiter in your 11th house, it's about goals, friends, networks, and the future. So that's what's lit up here. There could be some major growth through group affiliations for you. And that may come through some kind of online ventures that you're involved in. But it could also just be that you are expanding your vision. People may be looking to you for guidance during this time. Or maybe you are stepping into a more like visible community role around this time. But for those of you who have been longing to kind of make a bigger impact in some way, this is kind of the groundwork that begins that. Now on the 13th, we have Sun square the North Node. Here, there's going to be some tension between your professional direction and what partnerships are demanding from you or of you. You're going to feel like you're being pulled between stepping up in your career and wanting to honor the emotional needs or input of someone very close to you. Don't push. Just instead clarify your deeper why, right? Why are you going forward with this? On June 15th, we're going to have Mars square Uranus. Ouch. This is unconscious frustrations. It's unspoken pressures. Those kinds of things are going to likely explode around topics of education, beliefs, travel. Be very cautious with impulsive words or actions, especially if you're feeling like you're boxed in. You don't want to snap. That's kind of the warning. June 17th, Mars is going to enter Virgo, so that's your first house. This is your moment to act, right? That's what Mars does. Mars in your sign brings a surge of motivation, of physical energy, and initiative. Use it wisely. People will be more responsive to your leadership around this time, but keep the Virgo tendency sort of toward that self-criticism in check. We want to remember that perfect is not the goal, but progress is. On June 18th, here we have Jupiter square Neptune. So something's going to feel really like it's too good to be true when it comes to your shared finances, to intimacy, or possibly with your group collaborations. I would say avoid overextending yourself for any sort of collective vision or project unless it's truly reciprocal. And you should know that first. I don't think you're going to know that on the 18th, so give it a few days, right? Not all support that we're offered is healthy support. June 20th is the Solstice reset. So this is a potent moment to get really honest about what kind of future it is that you're building. Are you aligned with the people who are around you? Are your goals still meaningful to you? Are you, are you striving for something? Or are you trying to be really safe? This is reset point, and it's going to give you some permission to pivot if that's what you choose. June 22nd to the 24th, the sun is going to square Saturn and Neptune, and then conjunct Jupiter. So there might be some tension, maybe some disillusionment with folks that you're collaborating with, maybe with a group of friends, especially if like the boundaries are kind of unclear here. When the sun meets with Jupiter on the 24th, though, clarity and opportunity are going to return. So the right team, the right dream, the right path, those things are going to start to emerge. So keep your heart open for those and, just try to stay grounded as best you can. 30th, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow. For you, it's 10th and 11th house. So it's old friends, public commitments. It's also about any community-based roles that you hold. Those things are going to come up around this time for reevaluation. You're going to want to ask yourself, is this worth keeping, right? Is it time to release this thing? Definitely watch for any sort of social missteps, any sort of technical glitches. Those are things that Mercury rules. Mercury rules you, so you're going to feel this really early and probably strongly. All right, take the lead, Virgo, but don't race. That's the message. Your energy is going to be strong this month because you're going to have Mars, but clarity is going to need some time to catch up. So act on what you know is solid. Don't look at anything sparkly. Your long-term influence is what you're building. So be very selective about who and what you align with at this time. All right, next up we have Libra and Libra rising. Welcome, Libra. I hope you are doing well. All right, for the rest of this month, you are redefining success. You are taking a look at changes in your public life, making sure that your heart's on board with that. So the spotlight is shifting to your career, public image, and life direction. Whether you are maybe stepping into a new role, maybe you are pursuing a bigger dream. Maybe you are just redefining what success looks like because it hasn't met your current expectation. The second half of June is really going to ask you to show up, right, with both courage and clarity. Now, with Mars disappearing into your 12th house, we've got behind the scenes preparation is happening, and it's just as crucial as anything happening in terms of upfront action. So keep that in mind. Your 10th house of career, recognition, and legacy is where really all the action is. So you might receive a raise, a promotion. Maybe you get new responsibilities added to your plate. If you are in a leadership role or you're trying to step into one, this is definitely the time to own your vision and trust your ability to deliver. However, Jupiter really does ask you to lead with some care, right? So it can't be all about ambition. You're being called to model your emotional intelligence in high places. On June 13th, we're going to have the sun square the north node. You're likely to feel torn between your daily obligations and a bigger calling, right? Something about your schedule, your job, or your routine might start to no longer be supportive of your growth anymore. So instead of trying to force that to fit, right, ask yourself, what truth am I resisting right now, right? Or maybe what belief am I holding on to that needs to evolve? June 15th, Mars is going to be square Uranus. So it's a shakeup that may come through your social sphere for you. Could be in your finances or in your intimate connections. It could be time to sever some sort of like draining tie around this time, especially if like power struggles, secrecy, imbalanced effort are at play there. Don't fear the fallout though, right? This is about reclaiming freedom for you. June 17th, we're going to have Mars enter Virgo, 12th house. So as Mars slips into your 12th house there, energy is going to become quieter, more sensitive, and you're going to need more rest, time for reflection, even some solitude, right? So that you can regroup. Don't push. This is the prelude to a new Mars cycle that starts in late August. So use this time to potentially release anger, right? Do some sort of subconscious cord cutting if you need to make some severs there, right? Lay low, right? If anything feels off, lay low. June 18th, Jupiter will square Neptune. Not everything in your public or partnership life is as clear as it seems here. Be careful not to overpromise or to take on responsibilities that aren't really yours. You might also idealize a mentor or a partner, maybe a career path around this time, only to then realize the truth is a little more nuanced than you actually thought. June 20th, then we're going to have this solstice reset. And this solstice is a career checkpoint for you. So you are, some of you climbing a ladder, right? And you need to give some thought to, does that ladder actually lead to somewhere that you want to be? And if it doesn't, then realign, right? Let this moment be the moment to remind you that professional success means nothing, right, without the emotional resonance. June 22nd to the 24th, the Sun will square Saturn and Neptune and then make a conjunction with Jupiter. Tensions here are going to arise from burnout, from confusion about your duties, maybe a lack of clear structure at work. By the 24th, though, the momentum will return. So you're going to receive either the offer or the validation or the opportunity that reminds you why you've been pushing forward for whatever this thing is. June 30th here, Mercury is going to enter its pre-retrograde shadow. So you're going to want to start paying attention to any kind of communication glitches that are happening at work. If you're having second thoughts around professional roles, you might revisit a past project, maybe some public goals, maybe some old reputation characteristics that really still are in need of resolution in some way, right? During this time, definitely back up your files and get clarity on expectations as best you can. All right, for you, Libra, your career is what's expanding. So don't lose sight of yourself in this process. Rest, that is productive. So especially when it brings you some clarity. So this is going to be the time to lead from the inside out. And that means honoring your limits while also stepping into your light. Best of luck to you, Libra. Next up, we have Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Welcome. I hope you are doing well. What do we got going on for you for the remainder of June? Well, expansion is going to start with some perspective for you. It's going to be important to zoom out so that you can see what's really possible, right? So you got Jupiter and the Sun transiting your 9th house, Mars moving into your 11th. This is a really potent window to reimagine what's possible in your life. With the 9th house activated, you're being invited to stretch beyond the familiar, right? I want you to think bigger, learn more, travel further. That's literally and metaphorically. And it's also about, wanting you to trust this evolving worldview that you have going on, right? You might be studying something new. You might be planning a trip. You might be launching some sort of platform. Maybe you're just sharing your message really boldly. But it's a time when you want to take brave steps toward these long-range goals that you have. So Sun and Jupiter in your 9th house, this transit really supports higher education. It also supports legal matters, spiritual insight, anything that's connected to international opportunities or publishing. So If you've been feeling you got this itch to return to school, you want to share your ideas, you want to connect with something that is bigger than yourself, right? Moment, this is it. What you say or share has the potential now to reach far beyond the normal circles that you are involved with. So speak from your truth, though, not your trauma. That's going to be what's important. June 13th, we have the Sun square the nodes, North Node. This is probably going to bring some questions around how vulnerability, pleasure, and self-expression intersect for you, right? Think about, are you trying to keep hold of this emotional safety, right? You want this emotional safety that you have to be kept intact. And so you are dimming your light for that reason. If so, it might be the time to kind of loosen the grip there on that emotional control and really to allow yourself more joy, more spontaneity to come in, right? Even if it feels a little bit risky, that's okay. June 15th, we have Mars square Uranus. This aspect really is going to bring some shakeups in work or your key relationships. So whatever has been brewing here, right? You got tension with a boss, a partner, some sort of public facing project. Those things are coming to a head, right? The goal here is to make sure that we can break free from what's stifling our growth, not burn it down. Okay, don't burn it down. June 17th, Mars moving into Virgo. Mars is going to bring the heat here, right, to the house of friends, networks, and future goals. So you're probably going to be laser focused on organizing an event, spearheading some kind of a group project, or maybe you're finally making some progress with a long-term vision that you've held. What's important here is not to micromanage others, right? Be careful of that. Collaboration is going to work best for you, obviously, when others don't feel like they're being fueled by control. June 18th, we have Jupiter square Neptune. Be mindful of overcommitting here, especially if you are trying to balance big dreams with all of your day-to-day duties. Something that you are inspired by might feel spiritually aligned now, but it probably needs more time before it can fully materialize. So it's important not to let burnout cloud your judgment around this time. Your vision is definitely valid, but this thing is going to need more structure before it can grow. June 20th, we have that solstice reset. The solstice is going to invite you to reconnect with your higher self. And I want you to zoom out, right? Where have you been too close to the details and that has kept you from seeing or understanding the bigger story? For you, this is a spiritual checkpoint. So let go of an old belief system that limits what's possible in your future. June 22nd to the 24th, we have the Sun square Saturn and Neptune, and then making conjunction with Jupiter. So here you are going to feel blocked around communication. You could be doubting a recent decision that you made. Clarity is going to come when the Sun meets up with Jupiter. So it's going to bring some kind of renewed hope, maybe a boost in faith. This is a time that could also mark the start of a really meaningful travel plan, a course of study, or maybe a philosophical breakthrough comes for you. June 30th, Mercury is going to enter pre-retrograde shadow, 9th house here. So start watching for delays to pop up, miscommunications for you related to travel, contracts, school applications, publishing plans. These areas are going to undergo review during that upcoming retrograde. So use that shadow period to double check the details and really listen for intuitive guidance that could come through. All right, Scorpio, definitely say yes to any expansion, right? But let faith and follow through, those things should rise together. This next big chapter really depends on your beliefs and your willingness to outgrow those. And it also wants you to have the courage to bring that new vision for yourself forward, right? Not everything makes sense yet, and that's okay. Just keep going. Best of luck to you, Scorpio. Next up, we have Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. Welcome. I hope you are doing well. What do we have for the rest of the month for you? Some deep shifts, maybe even a new relationship with trust. Now, the second half of June is going to bring some turning points in your deeper emotional and your financial world. And the 8th house is where we face transformation. It's where we merge with others. And it's also where we release old patterns of control. Jupiter's presence here is generally not easy, but it is undeniably powerful. So this cycle is about empowerment, it's about legacy and learning to navigate shared resources, right? And intimacy and vulnerability, all of those scary places, right? From a place of strength and not fear. Well, the Sun and Jupiter are going to meet in your 8th house. So this is a potent time to deepen your intimacy, to maybe restructure your finances, or possibly explore healing or maybe spiritual practices a little more seriously. Inheritances, joint ventures, or maybe some of your partner's resources could expand at this time, right? Or maybe they demand some level of clarity around this time. Emotionally, it's going to be about learning what you can really no longer carry on with alone. All right, June 13th, we have the Sun square the North Node. This is about a key relationship that could really challenge your inner emotional safety. So it may be a romantic or a business connection. It doesn't matter, but you might need to examine how your partnerships reflect or maybe disrupt your foundational sense of peace, right? Don't sacrifice yourself just to keep peace. It's not necessary. June 15th, we have Mars square Uranus. A belief, a plan, a work-related schedule could get the shakeup here. Maybe it's a trip that gets delayed. Could be a health matter that forces you to kind of rearrange your priorities. Either way, this energy is pushing you to change your routines and to align with something that feels more meaningful or liberating. Now, the 17th of June, Mars is going to move into Virgo. That's your 10th house. So career takes the spotlight here as Mars lights up this house. Your house of reputation and life direction. Expect some kind of boost in ambition here, but watch out for burnout or nitpicking leadership. If you are leading some kind of a project, right? Or maybe you are pursuing a promotion. Now is going to be your moment to kind of like show that precision and drive that you have. June 18th, Jupiter is going to square Neptune. So fantasy meets with feelings here. This is going to show up probably as romantic fog, right? Could be some kind of creative confusion as well. Also could be unclear dynamics around shared finances or children. So you might feel inspired, but really unsure if what you want is actually something that's sustainable. Don't jump into any sort of long-term commitments without really reading the fine print, right? That applies to emotional and financial matters. June 20th, solstice reset here, and the solstice lands in your 8th house too. So emphasizing a shift in how you hold power in your level of vulnerability and also energetic boundaries. So take this as kind of a cue to realign with what it is that truly matters to you and ask yourself, what emotional debts am I carrying? What is it that I'm, really ready to forgive? Maybe it's something that you need to reclaim. June 22nd to the 24th, the Sun is going to square Saturn and Neptune and then conjunct Mars. You might feel emotionally blocked or clouded around this time, especially in regards to home and family matters. That fog is going to lift when the Sun meets with Jupiter in your 8th. It's going to mark a moment of really powerful emotional clarity for you, right? Also, breakthrough in possibly a trust issue, maybe a financial agreement, right? Or some kind of a therapeutic process that you're going through. Then on June 30th, we have Mercury entering pre-retrograde shadow 8th house for you. So start now tracking any kind of recurring themes that come up related to shared money, emotional entanglements, spiritual healings, misunderstandings or delays around debt, taxes, inheritances, or intimacy. All of those things could come up and surface now, right? Reflect That's what we're supposed to be doing. Don't rush. Those stories are going to unfold more in July. So pause. All right, Sagittarius, for you, this month is letting you know that power doesn't really come from control, right? It comes from alignment. June is inviting you to be brave enough to go deeper into the truth of your desires, the health of your shared spaces, the legacy that you're trying to build. Face those things, feel those things, and definitely move forward from there. Best of luck to you. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, welcome Capricorn. I hope you are doing well. You got relationship growth, some tension, and some truth happening here. Jupiter and the Sun in your 7th, Mars moving into your 9th, Mercury in the 7th here. So the spotlight this month is firmly on your one-on-one partnerships, right? All of them. All of them. Now, with the Sun and Jupiter lighting up your 7th house, it's relationships that are expanding, but they're not doing that without challenge. This could be the start of a major new chapter in how you relate to others, how you negotiate agreements, maybe even with how you step into new roles within the existing bonds that you have. Now, the Sun and Jupiter in your 7th, partnership expansion, it's growth through your relationships that's happening. So you could meet someone new. You might enter some sort of serious commitment. You might be renegotiating the terms of a current bond. But here what Jupiter is asking is this relationship healthy, right? Is it mutually beneficial? So you might find yourself really seeking a deeper emotional reciprocity, right? You're realizing that it's maybe time to let go of something that doesn't feel aligned anymore, right? June 13th, Sun square the North Node. And here you're going to think about the way that you communicate within your close partnerships, because that's under pressure. Work, health, obligations there are probably going to cause some kind of friction with someone who's close to you. So you might need to be more flexible with your expectations. You might need to adjust your communication style in some way. Listen with the intent to understand, truly, right? Don't just wait to respond. June 15th, Mars is square Uranus. Tensions here are going to flare around money, sex, maybe some power struggles creatively, right? Maybe it's a child, maybe it's a lover, maybe it's a collaborator. One of those is going to throw you a curveball, and maybe it's you who throws the curveball, right, and breaks the mold. But if it's financial or an emotional arrangement that is too rigid, this transit is going to say, we're forcing change here and we're doing it quickly. June 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo. So you're going to become really laser focused on long-term goals, legal matters, travel plans. Mars in your 9th is going to give you that stamina for studies, for publishing, for planning a major move. You might feel like you're being called to speak your truth, right? You want to do that on a broader platform somewhere. If you do, okay, just don't rush the process. June 18th, Jupiter will square Neptune. This is a foggy square that could blur the lines between what you want in a relationship and what actually feels safe. So emotional history, especially ones related to family dynamics, they might interfere with current bonds that are in place. So ask yourself, right? Am I projecting old patterns onto a new dynamic, right? Oftentimes that's the case. So take a look there. June 20th, solstice in your 7th house. So this is a really beautiful point of emotional reset in your partnership. So it's an ideal time to reconnect with your heart, to also open up to some deeper emotional needs within those really close connections that you have. The more honest and vulnerable that you can be, the more real growth that can occur during this time. June 22nd to the 24th, the Sun is going to square with Saturn and Neptune, and then will conjunct Jupiter. You are probably going to feel stalled in terms of expressing yourself clearly. You might be second guessing your choices within a relationship. Clarity is going to move through around the 24th when the sun meets up with Jupiter. So this could bring a breakthrough conversation. Maybe it's some kind of powerful new connection. Could be a sense of renewal within an existing bond that you have as well. Then on the 30th of June, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow, 7th house for you. So you're going to be watching for any subtle signs of miscommunication around your closest partnerships, right? If contracts, promises, future plans are being made, they're going to feel wobbly, and don't ignore that, right? So you're entering a cycle where clarity is going to deepen over time. So it's important to speak from the heart, but also take notes. All right, for you, Capricorn, the right relationships will evolve with you. And that is so important for everyone to understand, I think. If you feel pressure to shrink, to silence yourself, to carry the emotional weight alone, it's time for a reset there. This is the month that teaches you that emotional maturity really includes asking for what you need without apology. Best of luck to you, Capricorn. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, welcome. I hope you are doing well. All right, for you, we got some health, productivity, and we're going to have some emotional regulation. So Jupiter and the sun in your 6th, Mars entering your 8th, and Mercury in the 6th. So the second half of June is pushing you to take better care of your body, your time, and your boundaries. The focus is on refining your daily life, how you work, how you manage stress, how you show up for your responsibilities. But don't let that word routine fool you here, right? The cycle has the power to change everything if you work with it. So the sun and Jupiter in your 6th, right? Expansion through habits and health. This is a potential time for you to up-level your health regimen. It's for you to spend on your time management. Also want you to take a look at your work environment. You could land a new job. Maybe you are building better health habits. Maybe you are finally committing to some kind of a wellness routine, right? Something that actually sticks. This energy is supporting you in organizing that chaos and really creating some lasting systems that are going to serve your future. June 13th, the sun is going to square the North Node. You are going to feel torn between a creative desire that you have, or maybe a romantic distraction, and this need to focus on practical matters, right? Financial pressure or maybe questions about self-worth are what's surfacing. Choose what supports your long-term confidence, right? Confidence, not pleasure. June 15th, Mars is going to square Uranus, and this is about relationship tension that could kind of suddenly impact your home life or your emotional space. Maybe a partner is being unpredictable. Maybe family matters are demanding some fast decisions around this time. Don't be reactive, right? Respond with clarity, but don't try to have control. June 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo. And Mars here brings a sharper edge to intimacy, joint finances, and emotional entanglement. So you might be tackling some debt around this time. You may be managing inheritance issues or matters. You could be facing some hidden fears that are really impacting your ability to trust others. It's power dynamics in close relationships, right? Those things are coming up to the surface. Don't sweep it under the rug. It needs attention. June 18th, Jupiter square Neptune. Here we've got mental overwhelm or some kind of confusing information that is blurring your focus. So watch for miscommunications with your coworkers, maybe with getting some misleading health advice possibly. This is a good time to just slow down, right? Clarify any details and stick to what has been proven to work for you. June 20th, the solstice is in your 6th house. So this is your mid-year checkpoint for how you're managing stress, health, service, What is it maybe that needs to change in your schedule, your diet, your mindset, so that you can feel more balanced, right? Maybe it's nothing, but give that some look. Make space for any kind of practices that are nourishing you, right? Get rid of any of that are draining. From June 22nd to the 24th, the Sun squares Saturn, Neptune, and then is conjunct Jupiter. So here you're probably going to feel tired, maybe emotionally unsure of what it is coming up next, right? Because you have this fog. Wait for that to lift. By the 24th, there's a decision or a message that arrives that's going to affirm, yep, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. So trust that consistency and that self-compassion. You're getting, those things are getting you further than you actually think, all right? June 30th, then we're going to have Mercury entering pre-retrograde shadow. So your work systems, your calendar, your health routines, they all need a second look, right? Maybe. This is a review period that begins now. So use it to adjust your plans before any sort of burnout begins to set in, right? Don't skip the rest that you need, and don't gloss over details either. All right, Aquarius, this month is going to show you where your time and your energy have been leaking, right? Clean up your inputs. Choose systems that really support your peace, right? Everything is not about productivity. And you don't need to do more. You need to do what matters most. Best of luck to you, Aquarius. All right, last but not least, we have Pisces and Pisces rising. Welcome. I hope that you are doing well. For you, we got some creative momentum, some heart-led decisions. Jupiter and the Sun in the 5th house. Mars in moving into your 7th, and Mercury in the 5th. So this stretch of June is going to open a potent window of pleasure for you, right? It's about creativity, love, expressing your authentic self. With Mars moving into your relationship zone, though, there's some fog from Neptune, right, at play. There's also, though, clarity in love and art that is probably going to take some patience, but will come. So trust your instincts and give your heart a voice this month. Sun and Jupiter in your 5th house. This is one of the most sort of heart-forward transits that you'll experience all year. Now, creative work, romance, fun with children, all those things are highlighted. You might fall in love. You might launch something expressive. You might rekindle a spark that had gone a little bit quiet, right? There's an invitation here to step into the center stage and shine a bit, right? Just because it feels good. All right, June 13th, the Sun square the North Node. This is a subtle turning point here, right? You are going to feel like your emotional roots or maybe your family dynamics are up against this pull toward wanting to become more independent, right? It's okay for you to choose yourself. That's allowed. You're allowed to grow beyond your past, so give yourself that permission. June 15th, Mars is going to square Uranus. This is disruptive conversations. It is technology-related issues. Those things are going to throw off your workflow, right? Maybe it's a sibling. Maybe it's a coworker that's going to surprise you, shock you in some way. Whatever's happening around this time, try not to rush any decisions, right? Especially if they involve your schedule, your transportation, or your health. Remain as flexible as possible. The 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo, and this puts the heat on your one-on-one relationships, right? Here you can expect some sparks, good or challenging, both. In romance, it's also with your enemies as well, right? So if we're talking challenging, right? But it's tension that has been building. Something is going to boil over now. If you are looking to solidify some sort of bond or maybe strengthen one, this is going to be that energy that sort of helps you get clear on what's the thing that's worth fighting for you. June 18th, Jupiter will square Neptune. This is a classic rose-colored glasses moments, right? You're going to feel really swept up in fantasy. Maybe you're going to be confused about a romantic situation. Maybe it has to do with your personal image. it's not the time to it's not the time to tattoo something onto your soul, right? It's foggy, so wait until things settle before you commit to anything fully. 2 to 3 days. All right. A heart checkpoint is what's happening for you at the solstice. What does joy look like for you now? And are you giving yourself permission to play and love and create? The sun is lighting up this area of your chart. So you see what's next, right, in that passion story of yours. And you're going to love that. June 22nd to the 24th, the sun squares with Saturn and Neptune, then conjunct Jupiter. You might hit a wall in terms of creativity or maybe emotionally around the 22nd, 23rd, right? It's old fears coming up. Maybe it's feeling like you're not enough. Some kind of narrative there is resurfacing. Do not give up. The 24th is going to deliver a wave of optimism to you, right? And it's a reminder of what you're building towards. So keep choosing that thing that lights you up. June 30th, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow, 5th house for you. So romantic conversations, creative projects, any kind of issues with kids, those things are going to be revisited over the coming weeks, right? Take note. What begins as some kind of fun could become more serious. It could also ask for a larger level of commitment, right, later in the summer. So keep that in mind. All right, Pisces, let your heart lead, but take your brain with you, right? This is a season of romantic and creative potential. Clarity is going to come really slowly, so stay open, pace yourself. The right stories and definitely the right people, they're going to start to show up here when the fog clears. Best of luck to you, Pisces.